Hi guys, I'm here to show you how I strip screens, reclaiming. Alright, this is my washing space. That right there is the screen, so I'm gonna reclaim. Whenever it fits inside. In this case, I'm using some Newman frames, and some of these I think they are called sure lock screens. Great product. I've been using them for years. So what you're about to see is based on these screens. Most people use the glued ones. But because I used to use them, I got used to that way to clean them. I'll explain to you in a bit. Again, this is just like a flower feeder or something, garden feeder. How that thing's getting soft. When that's getting soft, I'll come back in here. Put a little of this. Then you see it all dripping off, getting soft. Now this scrub is we use, I use, there is nobody else in here. I use these scrubbers, they are great. So from the green ones. Blue. This I try to get all the air off the power washer before I stop it on. Then you're gonna go side to side, up and down. Even these channels over here, this keeps ink and solvent, so you want to get rid of everything as clean as possible so it doesn't go down into the cleaning area. is left there, you have to try to take off as much as possible so it makes it easier for you on the next step. Now this power washer, you have to start from far away without coming out of this sink, but far enough to don't start hitting that screen right this close, because then you're gonna break it. You're gonna end it breaking. So you have to start inside. See, I took off the most ink possible from the screen, and there is still left over from the ink, which is going to be taken care of with this degreaser, which is the one I like. It is the HR30 from Chemical Consultants, or CCI. I brought it back like this because I got used to, after been using the glued ones for so long. What it used to happen is that if you apply this degreaser on, it tends to take off all the glue on the sides, and many times you waste the whole screen just because it starts peeling off from the edges. So that's one of the reasons I switched to this. They are a little higher in price, but on the long term, it saves you lots of time and money. Okay, so you can see that image right there, right? So you apply the degreaser just like that. The smaller the mesh, the less degreaser you have to put on, because it doesn't need too much, because then it's like them pranks the people makes about putting shampoo on people and never wash off. It's the same thing on this. If you put too much of that degreaser, it becomes like real soapy, and it's hard, it's harder to take it off. So you kind of get used to whatever your mesh size you want to put more or less. It depends what you're doing. You're going to find sometimes there is inks, they are stronger than others. So it doesn't matter how much you wash them and how clean you want to be, they still going to stay there. Many times they can remove it. But again, if you can see something like this, it doesn't mean it's not clean. You have to go and look through the light, and then as long as you can see through, that the phantom image doesn't really matter. Right? Let's see how it goes on this one here. I usually have the issue with the black ink. You finish, you take a look. If you can see through, right, the whole screen, everything is ready to go. Again, for all of you that may be asking why he flips the screen instead of starting on the front, the reason why is because I used to use the glued screens, you know, the ones that they put glue around it, and I found that every time you put the degreaser on the front, it takes off your glue little by little. So you end up losing that mesh. Even if you have no holes or any damage in it, you need to replace the screen. I just got used to that way, just to be safe if I ever come back to the ones that they are glued. So that's the reason why. The first pass is always the deeper one. That's when I go a little slower. And then after that is basically to rinse as much as you can of that foam or soap that is left over. You can look on the lights, make sure there is no spots in there, and it's all ready. Okay, I want to mention this. When you get to this screen printing live, I want you to understand these screens, everything you're using here, it has to be, you have to treat it very gently if you want to save some money. These are not as sensitive as the Newman frames. Newman frames are great, but they are so very sensitive. You have to really be careful. Anytime you let them go, they can hit against another screen and just break your mesh. The more expensive thing after your screens is the mesh. So you want them to last as long as possible before you have to change it. All right, I'm gonna kind of start over with you, right? The main thing is the first step is to remove the emulsion. So the emulsion removing, as long as you take all the blue stuff or pink or red or whatever color your emulsion is, as long as you remove that blue stuff, that's okay. The slower part and the very important part that you have to go and take it easy is when you do it after you put the greaser on, because that's why you're going to remove anything that's been left over on the ink and the grease that may be on the screen. You have to be very gentle. On this case, it's not much, but you see, this right here is the screen behind it. If you hit this with this area, if you hit it with anything on front, it breaks your mesh the whole way. So these screens are great because you don't have to rely on anything if you're in the middle of the night or a weekend. As long as you have enough mesh, like a roll of mesh or whatever you need, you can always put the mesh on and just keep on going. And that's the advantage of these things. And besides, the tensioning is the tension is the way it takes like a big Newton count of I guess pressure you want to call it. It gets very stretched, so your ink goes through easier. But they are kind of some work to handle this kind of screens. It's something that you would like to have. if you really get into this thing. But to be honest with you, the easiest way to go is with the one that is only glue. The only difference is that you have to rely on them being available when you need it. And this, you can stretch it yourself whenever you need to. So it's a big advantage to have them. Okay, my friends, 17 screens, and I'm done. To the next